The Second Chance House. Walter and Nora Bennett lived in a quiet town in Pennsylvania. Walter was 69 years old. For most of his life, he had repaired furniture. He could take an old, broken chair and make it strong again. Nora was 66. She had worked as a school secretary, but everyone in town knew her for her pies, soups, and warm smile. They had been married for 42 years. They also had 4 grown children. Their oldest daughter, Olivia, was a lawyer in Boston. Their son Mark owned a restaurant in Chicago. Their younger daughter, Rachel, lived with her husband and 2 children in Nashville. Their youngest son, Ben, worked somewhere in Arizona. At least, that was what Walter and Nora believed. The children were always busy. They called on birthdays and holidays, but the conversations were short. "Sorry, Mom. I have another call." "Dad, I'll call you this weekend. We are very busy right now." "I promise we will visit soon." Soon became months. Months became years. Still, Nora never complained. "They have their own lives," she always told Walter. Walter nodded, but every time the telephone rang, he hoped it was one of the children. For their 42nd wedding anniversary, Nora planned a family dinner. She called all 4 children 6 weeks before the date. "This year, I want everyone at home," she said. "No gifts. I only want my children sitting around the same table." All 4 promised to come. Nora cleaned every room in the house. She washed the old curtains and placed fresh flowers near the front door. Walter repaired the dining chairs. One chair had belonged to his father. Another had been painted by Rachel when she was 12. For 3 days, Nora cooked. She made roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, apple pie, and Mark's favorite chocolate cake. Then, on the morning of the anniversary, Olivia called. "I'm sorry, Mom. An important client needs me." An hour later, Rachel sent a message. One of the children was sick. Mark said there was an emergency at his restaurant. Ben did not call at all. That evening, Walter and Nora sat at a table prepared for 6. 4 chairs remained empty. Nora tried to smile. "At least the food will last all week." Walter looked at the empty chairs. "We raised 4 children," he said quietly. "How did we become strangers to all of them?" Nora could not answer. Before they began eating, someone knocked on the front door. Walter opened it and found a man holding a large envelope. The letter inside said that their home would be sold by the bank in 30 days. Nora read the letter twice. This must be a mistake. But Walter knew it was not. 2 years earlier, Mark's restaurant had been in trouble. Walter and Nora had borrowed money against their house to save it. Mark had promised to make the monthly payments. For the first year, he had paid regularly. Then the payments stopped. Whenever Walter asked about them, Mark said the bank had made an error. Walter had believed his son. Now they owed more money than they could pay. Nora looked at Walter in shock. "Why didn't you tell me? I thought Mark would fix it. You risked our home without telling me. He is our son. And I am your wife." For the first time in many years, Nora left the room without saying goodnight. The next morning, Walter found Nora placing clothes in a suitcase. "Where are you going?" "We are going to see our children." "All of them?" "Yes." "Nora, the bank is taking our house. Then we have nothing left to protect." They packed a few clothes into Walter's old blue station wagon. Before leaving, Nora stood in the dining room and looked at the empty chairs. She placed a white sheet over the table. Then she closed the door. Their first stop was Boston. Olivia had told everyone that she was a successful lawyer living in a beautiful apartment. But the address Walter had was no longer hers. The building manager told them she had moved out 3 months earlier. After several telephone calls, they found her staying in a small room above a laundromat. When Olivia opened the door, she froze. "Mom? Dad? Why are you here?" "We came to see our successful daughter," Walter said. Olivia looked down. Her room contained one bed, a folding table, and 2 boxes of clothes. She had lost her job. Her law firm had asked her to hide information that could hurt a large company. Olivia had refused. The company complained, and the firm dismissed her. She had used most of her savings trying to fight the decision. "Why didn't you tell us?" Nora asked. Olivia wiped her eyes. "Because Dad always said that Bennetts finish what they start. I thought he would be ashamed of me." Walter sat beside her. "I said you should finish what you start. I never said you should help dishonest people." "But I lost everything." "No," Walter answered. "You lost a job. You did not lose your character." Olivia finally began to cry. Walter held his daughter as if she were a little girl again. The next morning, they helped Olivia move her remaining things into storage. She promised to visit them soon. Walter did not tell her that there might soon be no home to visit. Their next stop was Chicago. When they arrived at Mark's restaurant, the windows were covered with brown paper. A notice on the door said the business was closed. They found Mark sleeping in a small office at the back. His clothes were wrinkled, and there were unpaid bills everywhere. Mark had expanded the restaurant too quickly. He rented a second building, hired more workers, and borrowed too much money. When business slowed down, he lost both restaurants. "What happened to the money we borrowed for you?" Nora asked. "It delayed the closing." "And the house payments?" Walter demanded. Mark looked away. "I stopped paying them 6 months ago." "You told me the bank had made a mistake." "I was afraid to tell you." "You allowed us to lose our home." "I thought I could save the restaurant before you found out." Walter grabbed Mark by the shirt. "You lied to us every month." Nora pulled Walter away. Mark did not defend himself. "I am sorry," he whispered. "I destroyed everything." Walter walked outside. For several minutes, he stood in the cold alley behind the restaurant. Mark followed him. "You should hate me," Mark said. "I am angry with you." "I know. Your mother and I may lose the house where we raised you." "I know." Walter looked at his son. "When furniture breaks, I first find the damaged part. I do not cover it with paint and pretend it is strong." Mark said nothing. "You covered every problem with another lie. That is why everything collapsed." "What can I do now?" "Tell the truth. Then accept the consequences." Mark promised to speak to the bank and take responsibility for part of the debt. Walter did not know whether it would save the house, but it was the first honest thing his son had said in months. Rachel lived in a large house outside Nashville. Her social media pages showed a happy family. There were pictures of expensive dinners, vacations, and smiling children. But when Walter and Nora arrived, they found Rachel sitting alone on the kitchen floor. Her husband had left 6 months earlier. The expensive house was rented. Most of the furniture had been purchased with credit cards. Rachel was working 2 jobs to provide for her children. "Why did you say your daughter was sick?" Nora asked. "Because I didn't want you to see me like this." "Like what?" "Alone. Tired. A failure." Nora sat on the floor beside her. "When you were a child, you fell from your bicycle every day for a week." Rachel laughed weakly. "I remember. You came home with bleeding knees, but you always went outside again." "I was braver then." "No. You simply weren't pretending that falling was shameful." That evening, Nora cooked dinner with her grandchildren. Walter repaired a broken cabinet and a loose stair rail. For the first time in months, Rachel slept without worrying about the house. Before leaving, Nora asked her to stop posting pictures of a life she did not have. "Tell people less," Nora said, "but tell the people who love you the truth." Rachel removed many of the false pictures. Then she posted one honest photograph. It showed her sitting with her parents at a small kitchen table. Underneath it, she wrote, "Sometimes the people we try hardest to impress are only waiting for us to come home." Ben was the only child they had not seen. He had not answered their calls. Walter believed Ben was still in Arizona, but the address they had belonged to an old apartment. A former neighbor told them that Ben had moved to New Mexico. After 2 more days of driving, they found him working at a shelter for homeless teenagers. Ben was shocked when he saw them. "Why didn't you come to our anniversary dinner?" Walter asked. "I was coming. But you never called." "My car broke down. Then one of the boys here disappeared. We spent 2 days looking for him." "You could have called later." "I know." Ben took them into a small office. On the wall were photographs of young people he had helped. Walter had always believed Ben was careless. Unlike the other children, he did not have an impressive job, a large home, or expensive clothes. But Ben had built something important. He gave abandoned teenagers a place to sleep. He helped them finish school and find work. Then Ben opened a drawer and removed a collection of bank receipts. For the past year, he had been sending small amounts of money to Walter and Nora through an anonymous account. Walter had believed the money came from an old investment. "Why didn't you tell us?" Nora asked. "Because Dad never respected my work." Walter looked at the photographs again. "I thought you were wasting your life." "I know. I was wrong." Those 3 words were difficult for Walter, but he said them clearly. Ben smiled. It was the first real smile Walter had seen from any of his children during the entire journey. When Walter and Nora returned to Pennsylvania, the bank had already completed the legal process. Their children offered to help, but none of them had enough money to save the house. Walter and Nora packed 42 years of their life into boxes. On the final day, all 4 children came home. Olivia packed books. Rachel wrapped the dishes. Ben carried furniture. Mark stood in the dining room, looking at the table where they had once eaten together. "This happened because of me," he said. Walter did not disagree. "Will you ever forgive me?" "Forgiveness is not pretending that nothing happened," Walter said. "You must rebuild trust slowly." Mark nodded. Before leaving, Walter removed the 4 dining chairs. "The table belongs to the house now," he said. "But the chairs belong to us." They loaded them into Ben's truck. Walter and Nora moved into 2 small rooms above an abandoned hardware store. The building was old. The roof leaked, the windows were cracked, and the downstairs area was filled with broken furniture. Nora stood in the middle of the dusty store. "We have lost everything." Walter picked up a broken wooden chair. "Not everything." He examined its damaged leg. "This can be repaired." Walter began fixing the furniture left inside the store. Nora cleaned the front room and placed a small coffee machine near the window. One morning, an elderly woman entered. "Are you selling furniture?" she asked. "Not yet," Walter replied. She pointed to a repaired chair. "Can you fix my kitchen table?" Walter agreed. The woman returned with the table and later brought 2 friends. Soon, people were bringing Walter broken chairs, cabinets, lamps, and old family objects. Nora served coffee while they waited. Then she began selling slices of pie. Ben suggested a name for the place. The Second Chance House. A sign beneath the name said, "We repair furniture, share food, and listen without judgment." Rachel created a social media page for the business. Olivia helped them register it properly. Mark came every weekend and cooked soup in the small kitchen. The family was not suddenly perfect. Walter still became angry with Mark sometimes. Olivia still disappeared into her work. Rachel still tried to hide her problems. Ben still believed his father favored the others. But now they spoke honestly. Slowly, the Second Chance house became more than a repair shop. People came there after losing jobs, homes, marriages, and hope. Some needed furniture repaired. Others only needed someone to hear their story. Walter taught unemployed young people how to work with wood. Nora organized community dinners every Sunday. Nothing in the building matched. Every chair was different. The tables had scratches. The cups came from many old sets. But people felt comfortable there. A local reporter wrote an article about the couple who had lost their home and built a place for others. The story spread across the country. Orders began arriving from other towns. People mailed old family objects to Walter for repair. Within 2 years, Walter and Nora earned enough money to purchase the building. They were homeowners again. But this time, their home was not only for them. On their 44th anniversary, Nora prepared another family dinner. She cooked roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, apple pie, and Mark's favorite chocolate cake. The family gathered downstairs at the Second Chance house. Olivia had opened a small legal office that represented workers who reported dishonest companies. Mark had found a job managing a community kitchen. Every month, he sent money to repay part of his parents' loss. Rachel had moved into a smaller home and stopped pretending that her life was perfect. Ben had opened a second shelter with help from Olivia. Around the table stood the 4 old dining chairs Walter had saved from their previous house. Each chair had been repaired. Walter lifted his glass. "We once believed our family was broken," he said. "But broken does not always mean useless." Mark looked down. Walter continued. "Some things should be left behind. Lies, pride, false appearances. But people who are willing to change should not always be thrown away." Nora reached for his hand. "A family is not repaired in one day," she said. "It is repaired every time someone tells the truth, keeps a promise, or returns after making a mistake." Outside, snow began falling over the quiet Pennsylvania town. Inside, all the chairs were filled. For the first time in many years, nobody was in a hurry to leave. It is easy to throw away something after it becomes damaged. Repairing it takes patience, honesty, and love. A repaired relationship may carry marks from the past, but those marks can also show how much it survived.